Welcome back to Home Gym Hacks and Reviews. Stay tuned for my top 10 Powertec Levergym hacks. It's hard to believe, but it's been nearly 4 years since my first Levergym video. Since then, I've shown over 100 hacks and exercises to maximize this machine's versatility, but now it's time to show my top 10 hacks for the Powertec Levergym. To make this list, I went back and watched my Levergym hack series, parts 1 through 7, and there were some honorable mentions in that series, like Kelso shrugs using the lever arms, cable pullovers using the Atlas bar, and standing leg curls bracing against the squat bar. But to make this list, the exercise has to be extremely effective, something that I did for many years, or something that I presently do. I don't think any of these hacks are necessarily Powertec approved exercises, so don't try these at home. And if you do try any of these hacks, do so at your own risk. Also, if you purchase the Levergym or any Powertec product, please consider using my Powertec affiliate link at no additional cost to you. It does help me out, but more importantly than that, it's the best way to let Powertec know my videos are being seen and they're helpful. Let's get to it. My first hack is the single pulley dual arm lateral raise. I showed this in Levergym hacks parts 4 and 6, but it's an exercise I did for many years prior to getting my functional trainer. It had been a while since I had done this, and I forgot how effective it is. In fact, I'm switching out my supine cuffed lateral raise variation for this. I'm using a 1-inch chain creased, my cable extenders, a few carabiners, swivels, and revolving D handles. Body positioning is important because if I'm too far forward or too far back, the exercise won't work. But in the right position, the stretch is good, and I think this hack rivals many standalone lateral raise machines. Because it's a lateral raise, I don't really need to worry about bracing, adding cuffs, or anything like that because grip won't be a limiting factor and the weight will never get super heavy. For anyone wondering, it's very, very close, but I think a lateral raise using the cable is slightly better than a lateral raise using the lever arms. I came up with this bench press hack back when I was doing DC training in my basement, and all I had was the Powertec Smith machine, high-low pulley, and the Powertec multi-press. In order to do DC training correctly, you have to have 3 exercises per muscle group and additional exercises to rotate in when you plateau on those exercises, so I had to get creative. And that's when I tried the chest press facing the opposite direction on the multi-press. Interestingly, many years later, I found it's a great way to do flat presses on the Levergym. This feels much more like a flat press than facing the normal direction, which feels more like a decline press due to the lever arm's high attachment point. This position stacks my wrists, forearms, elbows, and shoulders more optimally for flat pressing, and this proves to be a great chest exercise. I will note I use my other bench for this hack because with the Powertec bench, there is no support here where all of the weight is distributed. I like the elevated flat press better than facing the opposite direction, but I know not everyone feels comfortable putting the bench on 12-inch plyo boxes. Almost 3 years ago in my Levergym lower body training video, I showed how squat wedges greatly enhance the quality of squats on the Levergym, and in that same video, I showed the pendulum squat hack. I had the Fettle Fitness pendulum squat machine, and while this hack can't hang with that, this really is a quality exercise. There is some spinal loading, which is the only reason I don't do this hack more often and with more weight. I've tried a few setups, but I think this is the best with the 12-11 squat wedges, which have a 17-degree incline. I have 2 2x4s behind the wedges which serve as spacers. I load the storage posts and cable for added stability, and I have an additional safety pin in the range of motion plates in case I fail. I personally think this hack is better than many standalone leg machines, including the free motion squat machine and the hammer strength V squat. I first introduced the daisy chains in Levergym hacks part 2, and I showed this exercise in Levergym hacks part 6. I also recently showed this in a short form video where someone replied that it was completely pointless, to which I replied I now have converging arms and a totally different grip. I'm using my revolving D handles, a couple carabiners, swivels, and the daisy chains. I've got the lever arms resting on the frame of the Levergym, and I've tried a few different bench positions so it will work at different angles for increased variety. There is a little instability like with a functional trainer, but I think it's a decent trade-off for the added versatility this hack offers. And the exact same setup works extremely well for a fly using the lever arms. Although this isn't an exercise, I've hacked the Levergym with a couple of add-ons and an awesome lever arm storage hack. First, I added the Levergym foot plates. These increase the stability of the Levergym by increasing the surface area the machine takes up, but also the rubber feet prevent it from sliding. In my review for the foot plates, I showed the difference that they make when I had the Levergym on my hardwood floors. Next, I added Olympic sleeve adapters to the storage posts. These came from Titan. I think they make the machine look more robust, and I can't stand standard posts on a machine. As I've said before, at least in the US, standard posts are usually reserved for lower end equipment, which Powertec is not. Next, I put UHMW tape in a few critical places where there is metal on metal when doing certain exercises. This keeps the machine from getting dinged, but it also increases its resale value when it's not all chipped up. Next, I added number stickers to mark the bench's settings, as well as stickers on the ROM plates to mark the lever arm settings. Lastly, this lever arm storage hack is one of my favorite hacks in a long time. I took out the bolt that runs through one of the pulleys and I replaced it with a 7" by 3/8 7" bolt. I added spacers so the bolt wouldn't move around and so the lever arms would rest on plastic rather than on the metal bolt. This provides a safe, fast, and easy way to get the lever arms up and out of the way for storage or for cable exercises where the lever arms aren't needed. I have used the Levergym for the perfect place to do my DIY belt squat from the day I got the Levergym. Prior to getting this machine, I set up my DIY belt squat on the Powertec Smith, but this is much more ideal. I've had the Squat Max MD and I've had the Rogue Rhino, and rep for rep, my belt squat hack hangs with them. I have a vertical line of drive and a true free weight exercise. The lever arms and handles provide the perfect place to hold on. I'm using the Titan loading pin, an additional platform for liftoff, and the Yes for All plyo boxes. I also set up the Powertec bench just behind me in case something goes wrong, although I'm not sure how much good it will do. The loading pin has a 300-pound max weight capacity, which I have exceeded a few times, and the setup takes a couple of minutes, but once it's time to belt squat, this is my favorite exercise. Not just my favorite hack, but my favorite exercise. I showed the chest supported cable row in Levergym Hacks Part 4. Over the years, I've done some variation of this exercise because my lower back won't let me do standing barbell rows or even seated cable rows. I had the Fettle Fitness ISO row for a while, but I like the adjustability and versatility of this setup better. Also, for the Fettle row, it took me 3 or 4 plates per arm, but here, 445s on this setup is much more difficult. I've been using the Powertec FID bench with the back pad at a slight angle. I use 2 8" 2x4s that serve as spacers, and they keep the bench from sliding, and the 20" gym pin light D handle with the angles 90 grips. Lastly, I move the lever arms up and out of the way. I've had people ask, so I'll show it. To get in position, I just grab the angles 90 grips, step over the bench, then slide down the back pad. I do my best to keep my chest pressed against the pad, and when this gets stale, I can change the attachment. I honestly feel this hack hangs with many of the expensive standalone row machines. And for anyone wondering, the resistance profile for rows is better on the cable when compared to the lever arms. I showed the seated calf raise in Levergym Hacks Part 2, and I refined the exercise in Levergym Hacks Part 6. I had the X-Mark Fitness seated calf raise, which is a good residential machine. But aside from needing to be loaded heavier, the Powertec Levergym does the exercise just as good. I'm using the Powertec bench, Iron Master calf block, and I've attached bands from Elite FTS so I don't need to load so many plates. The squat bar is connected, and I have the hip thrust pad on my thighs just to make the exercise a little more comfortable. It's important to mention the lever arms need to be connected, the squat bar needs to go under the lever arms, and I have an additional safety pin in the range of motion plates in case I fail. I can start from the top position by pulling out the higher safety pin, and with my arms I can add additional resistance during the negative. This hack feels surprisingly comfortable, and I can get a decent stretch in the bottom of the movement. The only real downside is more weight is needed for an effective work set when compared to a standalone machine due to the lever arm's higher attachment site. In Levergym Hacks Part 3 and 5, I showed the lever arms can be used as a dip station, and I found it interesting that somebody commented in one of my videos that they had never thought of using the lever arms for dips. And to further enhance the dip and add resistance to the exercise, I use one of my cable extenders connected to the back of my harness and the low pulley. This really provides an easy and convenient way to add resistance to the exercise when bodyweight dips become too easy. The lever arms handles provide a nice grip which isn't too narrow or wide, and it's easy to adjust the height of the lever arms for the desired range of motion. Over the years, I've shown a few crunch variations using the Levergym, but I think this is the best and easiest of them all. This hack reminds me a lot of the multi-$1,000 standing free motion ab machine, and I think it's just as good. I have the squat bar connected in 45s on the weight horns to secure the lever arms, and I attach the Grizzly ankle cuffs to a creased 1-foot chain. Having the squat bar connected to the lever arms allows for extension and stability, and I'm able to crunch forward far enough to provide an excellent abdominal contraction. I can also twist to each side for added versatility. I have to be careful not to bang my head when I jump into position, but when I pair that hack with this knee raise, I have pretty complete ab training. I would love to know which of these hacks you think is the best, or if I left out a hack you think should have made the list. I really hope this video was helpful. If so, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel if you haven't. Take care, everyone.